everyone, and thank you so much for joining me back here on KB Decor Crafts. In today's video, I created these really cute Easter decor pieces using all of Dollar Tree products. I had a lot of fun creating these DIYs, especially the moss bunny. I really wanted one of those that I had seen somewhere, and I was just not willing to pay the price for it, and I knew I could make it from using Dollar Tree items. I hope you like them as much as I do. Now let's get started. Now first up is the bunny canister. I used one of these ceramic bunnies that you can paint in the craft section, and I took off the top of the hanger and just started to paint it with some white chalk paint. And now setting him off to the side, I'm going to paint my canister, and I took the lid off to paint them both separately. So I'm going to start off by painting the bottom half all in white chalk paint. I made sure to cover it completely and letting it dry for a little, and then going back in to touch up some areas that still needed some paint. Now for my lid, I used the Waverly chalk paint in the color Ballet Slippers to paint the lid. And again, make sure that the chalk paint is completely dry before you go and retouch up some areas. Once it is completely dry, I use some E6000 to adhere the bunny to the top of the lid. I also added a little bit of hot glue. Going back to the jar, once it's completely dry, I went in with some black chalk paint and using a sponge brush just added in around the rim some black paint and just in random areas of the jar to kind of give it a more distressed, I guess, enamel look. And I just continue to do that all around the jar. If you ever find that the paint is a little too harsh, you can go back in with some sandpaper and just smooth it down. The sanding also helped with the distressing. And then I wanted to do the same thing to the top of the lid. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to be touching the bunny. I wanted him to stay completely white, so you could do this step before you glue on the bunny just to make it easier. Once everything was dry, I wanted to add some twine around the top of the bottom of the canister and just glued on some twine and wrapped it around. I feel like adding the twine really helped give it that farmhouse look I was going for. And of course, this wouldn't be complete without a cute little bow, so I just wrapped some twine around 4 of my fingers, doing it several times, making sure to leave 2 ends out for the bottom of the ribbon. Then you'll want to pinch in the center and grab another piece of twine to wrap around the middle and tie a knot. And make sure to cut off the excess string and then straighten out the bow. Then find the spot where you'd like to glue it on, and with some hot glue, I glued on my bow. I really love the addition of the bow. It looks so cute. Now for me, I don't really intend on putting anything in this canister. I just wanted it more for decor purposes, but I love how this looks together. It looks so cute. And now moving on to the moss bunny, I used one of these 8x10 canvases from Dollar Tree. I began by removing the canvas off of the frame, and I just used my X-Acto knife just by cutting along the staples and then peeling off the canvas. I felt that this was the easiest way to take it off instead of trying to remove the staples one by one. And once you're done removing the canvas, you're left with a really pretty wooden frame. So I then traced around the frame so I could see exactly where I needed to cut the excess canvas off to fit exactly underneath the frame. And then I just went ahead and cut all the excess off. I then placed the frame on top to make sure that it lined up correctly. I wanted to give my frame more of a gray-white wash, so mixing light gray, white, and some dark gray acrylic paint, I was able to get the right color shade that I wanted. Then by dipping my brush in some water and then in the acrylic paint, I was able to give that effect of just a gray stain or wash, if you will, that it turned out really cute. And I made sure to get in all the crevices and all the inside of the frame as well. Then with my really old brush and dipping into some white chalk paint, I gave it more of a distressed look by just dry brushing all around the frame. And because that wasn't enough, I decided to sand around the entire frame, just giving it more of a distressed look. So now for the actual moss bunny, I used this banner that I found at Dollar Tree, and I just cut off one of the bunnies to be able to trace onto my canvas. And then I just outlined the entire bunny with a pencil. I used some green moss to adhere onto the bunny, but I first tried using Mod Podge, which didn't work out so well. So then I decided to use some hot glue, and that worked out perfectly. I would just outline where I needed the moss to stick to and then push down and press with the back of my pencil to mash it all in together. And you'll start seeing as you keep going, the outline of the bunny will start taking shape. And I just continued to do the same process around the entire bunny, just adding more hot glue, then the moss, and then with the back of my pencil, just mashing it all in to compact together. Once I was done gluing down all my moss, I grabbed a pair of scissors and cut all around the edges, trying to give it a clean shape, kind of giving him a little haircut, if you will, and that just made it look a lot cleaner. Also, going back to the bunny that we outlined, I took off his little cottontail and hot glued it to the back of my moss bunny. Then with my glue gun, I just traced around the entire outline of the canvas, and then I glued down the frame. And just as a reminder, I'll always have down in the description box the list of supplies that I used and where to find them in each of my DIYs. And that's it for this moss bunny. He turned out so cute and is actually one of my favorite Easter projects that I've done in a while. I was really happy with the way he turned out. For my last DIY, I found this little crate at Dollar Tree and I stained it with Waverly Wax Antique paint, and with a little bit of magic, it's all stained and distressed. I just thought I'd skip that process, and I just used some chalk paint to distress that. So for the bunny's body, I used a piece of cardboard, some yarn, scissors, and a circle shape that I wanted the size to be, and another smaller circle for the center. Now go ahead and trace around 2 circles and cut those out. And once you have your 2 circles cut out, you want to go ahead and add on your smaller circle to the center, trace around those, and cut them out. So if you didn't know by now, we're going to be creating 2 little donuts to help create the pom-poms that is going to be his body. Once the 2 smaller circles are cut out with the scissors, go ahead and cut another slit out to create an opening in your donut. Now I found this white yarn at the Dollar Tree, but you can use any yarn. I use 2 at a time just to make the process quicker and also to create a fluffier bunny. But you're going to want to start on one end and start wrapping the yarn around the entire donut. A tip I do have for you is to make sure to loosely wrap and not so tight like I did in the beginning, because it's going to be harder in the end to cut around this. You can continue to wrap for as much as you want, and the more you wrap, the fluffier it'll look. So I just kept doing that until I was satisfied. And with your scissors, you want to guide in between the 2 pieces of cardboard and start to cut around the entire circle. Also, make sure to be holding on tightly to the yarn as you start to snip. Once that's done, go ahead and cut a piece of yarn that you're going to use to wrap around the pom-pom. And take the piece of yarn and squeeze it between the cardboard to wrap around the pom-pom. Now once that's wrapped around, go ahead and tie a double knot to make sure it's securely tightened. Now carefully remove the 2 pieces of cardboard, and then you'll have yourself a nice little pom-pom. And I'll show you how to clean that up and make it look more round. Now using those 2 pieces of cardboard that we used earlier, you're going to kind of want to sandwich this in between them to use as your guide as you're going to cut around the entire circle, just to snip off any excess pieces. Now you can do this as many times as you'd like. You can take it out and reshape it a little and then sandwich it back in to snip off some more until you get your desired shape and size. And there you have a nice little pom-pom, which is the perfect size for the bunny's body. Now going back to the crate, I used some of this floral styrofoam that I got at Dollar Tree, and I cut down the shape that I needed to fit inside the crate. And then I just hot glued that in. Now using the carrots that I found at Dollar Tree, I wanted to add these into my crate, but I wanted them to look like they were coming out of the ground, so I cut off the tip with my X-Acto knife just down to the size that I wanted. And using some of that green moss from earlier, I just hot glued down all around the styrofoam and just placed it down, tucking it into the crate as well. If you want it to look more like dirt, you could use some of the brown Spanish moss that they have at Dollar Tree, but I couldn't find that, so I just used the green one instead. And then I added a generous amount of hot glue to the bottom of my carrots and placed them down into the crate. And here you'll only see me glue down 3, but I did add an extra 4th one later on. I found these felt stickers that had the perfect little feet for my bunny. And going back to the banner that I used earlier, I cut off one of the bunny tails. Now looking to see which side I wanted to glue down, I just flattened that side down a little bit and then hot glued it down into the crate. I wanted him to look like he was jumping into the crate of carrots, so that's why I put him in the corner. Then I hot glued on his little bunny tail, and then his little feet as well. And you're all done with this one. I think he came out so cute and I'm obsessed with him. I just love how he turned out, and I think it's a perfect size for your tabletop decor. I love how these all turned out. They're so cute, and I'm obsessed with anything bunny related. I really love decorating for Easter. It's one of my favorite holidays to decorate for, so I really had fun creating these DIYs for you guys. I would love to know in the comments down below if you've already started decorating for Easter or if it's a little too early for you. I get it. But if you have recreated any of my DIYs, I would love to see them in my Instagram. So go ahead and check me out there and tag me or send me pictures in your DMs, and I'll see you guys next time.